CaptainsCap.com.
Andy Foster, Tim Foster, Rob Rube back at Gardner-Webb University Spangler Stadium as we get ready for the second contest of the evening, the Crest Chargers against Northern Guilford.
And we do welcome you back in. It is game 2 of the Cleveland County Jamboree. And great to have you along. And Rob, these were two teams that had huge years. We know Crest lost a heartbreaker to Southern Durham in the final seconds at 38-31, lost 14-2 season. Northern Guilford 12-3, lost to Crest in the state semifinals. Talk about these two programs in this matchup tonight.
Talking about the Nighthawks and Northern Guilford, Tim, as we mentioned, Johnny Roscoe returns as head coach. 12-3 last year. They were 7-1 in the Mid-State Conference. But, Tim, let's not forget, 2 losses came as forfeits. That game could have easily been at Northern Guilford instead of Crest.
Who knows what would have happened?
It could have been some strange things. Some couple players to notice for the Nighthawks tonight. Mook Reynolds, he did it on both sides of the ball for this team. Wide receiver, defensive back. He is committed to Virginia Tech. Also the junior running back, C.J. Freeman, over 1,600 yards rushing last year for the Chargers last year. 14-2 overall. They were 8-0 in the SMAC. Of course, lost to Southern Durham in the state title game. Some players to watch out for, guys, and we know them. The fans at home know them. Omar Brooks, P.J. Brooks, Dominic Roseborough, Alex Trejo, Trey Harbison over 1,500 yards, and Malik Copper, Tavion Brentley.
Omar Brooks, the defending SMAC Defensive Player of the Year, right?
Had a great year last year. And guys, named that wasn't with us last year is now with the Chargers. Willie Green, the second, of course, the son of Willie Green, the wide receiver, played for the Carolina Panthers and has been starting quarterback for this team.
Won a couple of Super Bowls with John Elway in Denver as well.
Absolutely. So some guys to keep an eye on there. A young man that I was really impressed with Tuesday night was Tavion Brentley. Was not starting for this Crest team, but really had an impact on both sides of the ball.
Andy, Crest 14-2. They return a ton of talent, and would you say the expectations are higher this year than maybe in recent years, even as good as the program has been?
Oh yeah, it's as high as it's been in some time for the Crest Chargers heading into the 2014 season, and sometimes those expectations can give you some problems, and hopefully the Chargers are going to play with a lot of confidence with those expectations this year.
And, Andy, I think if you're a Crest fan, that's the thing you may be concerned about the most is can you live up to those expectations? Your name is on a lot of people's list this year because of what you return. Can you perform at that high of a level the entire season to live up to those high expectations?
And I have a feeling, Rob, that one of the teams that is on that list is their opponent tonight, even though it is a jamboree. You're talking about a Northern Guilford team that has not forgot what happened last December when the celebration was on, and as you talked about, what an unbelievable game that was last year at Sid Bryson Stadium.
You know, I think, Tim, for both these squads, there's a lot of memories of seeing each other and things to come away from, but this is the first time that Northern Guilford's having to come off the loss against the other team. So I think you're going to see a very exciting scrimmage here tonight as both teams really want to show well.
Andy, talk about the return of Dominic Roseborough. I thought he was the best player coming on the Crest team last year. They never had him for one game. Had that terrible ACL injury. We see him on the sideline getting ready to get warmed up. How big of a loss was that for Crest last year?
Well, it was huge, and it really showed up in that state championship game last year when the Southern Durham quarterback lit up the Crest secondary.
Yeah, Kendall Hinton.
Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, and I know, hey, congratulations Southern Durham on the title. But I believe if Dominic Roseborough plays the entire season, Crest is the state champion last year. That is a cog you take out of your machine, and that becomes a huge loss on the defensive side of the ball. And even some of the things he did offensively, guys, where he could spell a Trey Harbison for a few plays, where he could come into those heavy sets, Dominic Roseborough was really missed last year.
Rob, a lot of people have talked about, well, Crest has got there. This program has got there, and we've been along the ride with KTCBroadcasting.com, but they can't get it done. But, Rob, I'll say one thing. You're not going to get it done if you're not there every year. If you don't get to that point, what do you say to the critics of that?
Tim, me and you talked about driving over here tonight.
Yep.
To us, coming out of the West is a much tougher road than the team coming out of the East. And Northern Guilford last year is a prime example of that. They were put into the West, and they did not play for a state title. Crest has had some hellacious roads going into the state title games. When you look at those games against Catholic and the games against the Asheville's and last year against Northern Guilford. And, again, I'm not taking anything away from Southern Durham. I was so impressed with that squad and what Kendall Hinton did as a quarterback. But it just has an impact when you're coming out of the West. It is so difficult for any team to come out of the West and play for a state title, and I think Northern Guilford was an example of that last year.
Andy, of course, one of the big losses for the Chargers, Jalen Moore, Appalachian State University now, 49 touchdowns the last 2 years. They are, as much talent as they've got, they're going to miss that young man this year.
And I think the biggest thing you miss with Jalen being graduated is leadership. What a great team leader he was.
It seemed like, guys, at times when this team got down last year, Jalen Moore was one of those players that was able to help pick you up. Somebody has to fill that leadership void. And let's not forget, too, the Chargers are replacing a couple offensive linemen as well. So we'll see how that factors into the running game, especially for Crest, where the bread and butter has been over the last few years.
Rob, I look at a lot of things with a high school team and any team, really. Talent obviously is important, but chemistry, and I thought Crest chemistry was really special in 2013. It's not something that you can do from year to year.
And that'll be interesting to see. We talked about Willie Green coming into the Crest program, and how does he meld into this program with these players? You know, a lot of these kids played together, elementary and the middle school and on to the high school. So let's see how that chemistry is for this team as well.
Andy, I believe Crest won the toss, and they will get it. Northern Guilford will kick it off here.
Guys, how about this? A lot of people wonder, what's the health of Dominique Roseborough? You look back here in your return game, Dominique Roseborough is one of the guys returning kicks back here with P.J. Brooks.
And what about P.J. Brooks, Rob? One of the most versatile players that's come through Crest in the last 5 or 6 years, a special player.
Young man that's no longer starting quarterback for this team, and they say he took it as well as anybody. He is so excited, now going to be playing on the defensive side of the ball at cornerback. And you'll see him a little bit, I think, offensively, too, during the year.
So Northern Guilford to kick it off, and let's send it over to Andy Foster for Game 2, Northern Guilford and Crest here on the Cleveland County Jamboree.
Brooks and Roseborough standing near the 10-yard line to receive the kick. And P.J. Brooks takes it at the 2-yard line. P.J. to the 10 and tripped up at the 15. And there's that Northern Guilford speed on special teams making the play.
Tremendous. You're talking about, Rob's already mentioned, Division I players, Rob. You got them on both sides of the ball tonight. Trey Harbison, we talked about, who was a leading rusher, already being talked to, and he's talked to a lot of different colleges already about his future in a couple of years. He's going to be a key. He'll come out with Willie Green Jr. at the quarterback position, Andy, on this 1st and 10.
Green in the gun. Harbison beside him in the backfield. Double wides left, receiver to the right. Green takes the snap, keeps the football, and he is going to be pushed back near the line of scrimmage. Might have lost about a half yard.
Looked like he was faking the handoff that time to Harbison, and he's going to get back to the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd and 10 from there.
Guys, one thing about it, as we mentioned, this Northern Guilford defense, that was going to be the strength of this squad this year. They're going to fly to the football. They're going to be aggressive, and right there was a prime example.
Double wides left and right, Green in the gun. And Willie going to throw it, and it's caught at the 20-yard line.
Let's see who brought that in. It's with the Chargers.
I believe that was Quentin Thompson.
That was Thompson, who had some nice plays last year, the junior, and it'll be 3rd down and 5. Rob, you've been impressed with Willie Green, his arm and his really his motion and his throwing motion so far.
Yeah, he really squares his body up down the field even when he's on the move.
And a lot of movement defensively by the Northern Guilford squad. Green barking out the signals and the gun. Green takes the snap. Going to throw it right side.
It should have been caught.
Dropped at the 24-yard line. It's 4th down.
That should have been a 1st down. Thompson couldn't bring it in, and Crest will have to punt on their opening possession.
And, guys, that was one thing in the last scrimmage. I think if you're Crest, and we saw it here, Willie Green's putting the ball where it needs to be. The Chargers have got to bring the football in on those receptions.
Andy, another weapon this year. What about Alex Trejo, preseason All-State, will punt it here for Crest?
Alex, the Charger kicking specialist, standing back at the 5-yard line, and he gets it out of there. Very high kick. Hits down at the 40-yard line across the 45 to the Crest 47-yard line.
Didn't get much of a bounce there, so the Nighthawks, great field position, 1st and 10 from the Crest 47-yard line, and they will take over from there, as we mentioned. Rob mentioned it, 12-3 a year ago. Did lose to the Chargers in the semifinals, 2 forfeits. It was a year, though, Rob, they had some close calls even without those, and then, of course, Crest able to knock them out in the semifinals.
Cameron Harris, the quarterback, brings them up with the receiver left and right. And an I formation. Harris got a man in motion. Harris.
He took
right
a shot.
Up the middle, and he is slammed.
Omar Brooks.
Guys, Omar picking up where he left off last year.
Andy, you thought he was the best defensive player you'd seen all year last year, and as Rob mentioned, boy, he just leveled the running back that time, Freeman.
Loss of a yard. It's 2nd and 11 at the Charger 48 for the Nighthawks. This time, Northern Guilford in the gun, trips right, a receiver left side. Harris going to swing it right side, caught 50, 45, 40, in and out of bounds near the 35.
Good block on the outside that time by Northern Guilford. And, Rob, one thing that Northern Guilford has always done, they run that trip package, especially in the receivers. They like to get those receivers out, get some good blocking downfield.
Guys, there's one of the guys we talked about. I believe that may have been Mook Reynolds on the reception there. And
big-time player.
This young man can certainly play, as we said, committed to Virginia Tech.
1st and 10 at the Charger 36 for Northern Guilford. Harris in the shotgun. Keeps the football, and Harris is pulled down from behind at the Charger 33.
That's Chris Willis who brought him down for the Chargers, the junior. Willis had a good year as a sophomore last year.
2nd and 8. Northern Guilford, Crest 33. 9:20 to play, first quarter, no score. Double wides left and right. Harris in the gun with one back. Harris got a man in motion from right to left. Harris has time to throw it over the middle, incomplete at the 15-yard line.
Thrown a little high that time. Had a receiver initially. That was Jordan Oates back there. Rob, a lot of talent. When we're talking about this Crest defense, good things are expected, a lot of talent. But there again, you got to make plays on the field. It's there, but can you make the plays this year?
Like we talked about, you can have all the hype in the world, people can talk about you, but you still have to go between those white lines and prove it in every game. Talk gets you nothing.
3rd and 8 at the Charger 33. Trips left, receiver right. Harris in the gun. Gets the snap. Under pressure. And he is going to
he took a shot
down for a loss.
Malik Hopper, Andy, he tried to get loose. One thing we've already noticed on this first possession for Northern Guilford, Crest is hitting hard. We saw talk about Kings Mountain doing that. Crest is doing it defensively as well.
I think that's an exciting time for the Chargers. As we said, guys, you're fast on this team, and you got some guys that'll get in there and get to the football. So positive for the Chargers.
And, Andy, I think Northern Guilford is considering here, obviously, at the Crest 33, going for it on 4th and 8.
Offense stays out there for the Nighthawks. Trips left, receiver to the right. Shotgun one back. Harris takes a snap, swings it left side, down at the 28. It's short of the first down. Charger football.
Good job that time. Good pass initially, Andy, by Harris, but Rob, Crest speed there on that play. They got to him quickly to make the tackle, guys. He only got 5. He needed 8.
Exactly right, and that's going to be the key for this Crest defense. How well do you close? Good job there, as we said, a cutting off, and that's one of the bread and butter plays for Northern Guilford team. We talked about that little inside slant, the little pattern to the outside, and good job there by the Crest defense.
Green up in the gun with one back. That's Trey Harbison. Double wides left, receiver to the right. Man in motion. And back to throw, Harbison, Green, and he gets it off to Harbison. Harbison breaks the tackle, 30, 35, and driven out of bounds.
And Rob, he never went down that time. That's the thing I noticed. It looked like he was going to go down. He outran the defender. This young man, you're going to have to hit him hard to bring him down, and he gets the first down.
And in a positive, Tim, if you can have a successful passing game, it'll open up that running game a little bit for the Chargers. And looks like maybe some pants got tore there, Tim. His knee pads came out. He's having to come off the field because of equipment.
Yeah, and that could be an issue here because with they'll have to patch that up. He may be out a couple of plays, 9 yards. And Andy Crest has thrown on every play so far.
2nd and a yard. Here's a swing pass, left side, caught. It's a first down, 40, 45, 47-yard line.
Traquan Hopper, guys. And
you're impressed with him, I know, as well.
Tim, the scrimmage against Forest View, this young man came in, a receiver, at running back, again, just wherever they needed him on the field, and he really played well.
Andy, what about Crest? 7 plays, 7 pass plays so far.
1st and 10, Chargers at their own 45. Double wides right, a receiver left side, and Northern Guilford off sides.
Yep, a little bit of early movement, and that'll be a 1st and 5 for the Chargers. It's going to be moved up to midfield.
So 1st and 5 Chargers at midfield. No score, 7:50 to play first quarter in the second game of the Cleveland County Football Jamboree. Trips right, a receiver left. Willie Green, the second in the gun with one back. Handoff right up the middle, not much.
No, I think Green kept it that time.
And Green is thrown for a loss.
Guys, looks like maybe Casual Morris has moved into the backfield for the Chargers, 10th grader for Crest.
And I think part of that, Rob, is the fact that Harbison, as you mentioned, had some equipment issues, having to work on that. He had to
get his knee pad back in where the pants got tore.
2nd and 7 at the 47-yard line for the Chargers. Green going to throw it, and it's dropped at the 48.
And that should have been a late hit, Andy. But
yeah, guys, I'm surprised that flag wasn't thrown there.
But the thing we're noticing, Rob, you've talked about it, a lot of drop passes, and a lot of that you see early on. But that's the place Crest is going to have to make. You're wide open. You got that speed. You got to make that catch.
Absolutely right. You've got to bring those in. Once again, that another drop pass we've seen where Green put the money where they need, put the ball where they needed it. Just got to make those plays.
3rd and 7 to the 47. Green in the gun. Rolls to his right. Going to throw it, and it's thrown out of bounds at the 40-yard line. 4th down, Chargers.
He was looking that time for Dyshon Odom. And the interesting thing there, guys, Crest had a 1st and 5. Then they have the loss on 2nd down and end up having to punt. Let's see if Trejo can back Northern Guilford up here.
Trejo in to punt from the Charger 35. Northern Guilford standing near the 15 to receive the Charger punt. And Trejo gets it out of there.
It's going to get a good roll this time.
Picked up at the 15 to the 20, 25, down the sideline, 30, 40, 45, midfield, still on his feet, and finally pulled down at the 28.
I think that one's coming back,
yeah,
guys.
It's coming out. There were 2 clips, Rob. I caught one of them. And the problem there for the Chargers, they kind of initially thought that I think the return man was just going to let it roll.
Yeah, I think they kind of let up on the coverage, and you can't do, again, we talked about playing a great athletic football team. Northern Guilford will make you pay for those kind of mistakes.
You take nothing for granted with this Northern Guilford team. They like to take chances, Rob.
Absolutely right.
So let's see where this one will be backed up to after the penalty. No, they're going to call motion. Oh, we've got 2 penalties. We've got motion on Crest, Andy, and then holding on Northern Guilford. So let's see where they spot the ball after they.
Are they going to play the down over?
You would think they would play it over on that play, but I'm not sure exactly. Looks like they're going to move it to around the 36 of Northern Guilford. It'll be 1st and 10. I'm not sure about that one, but that's where it'll be 1st and 10.
Maybe the spot from where the hold occurred.
Yeah, very possible.
Anyway, Northern Guilford gets it 1st and 10 at their own 35-yard line. Harris in the gun, trips left, receiver to the right, and we got movement up front.
Crest a little bit too quick, and it's going to be a 1st and 5. And a lot of little things, one of the things we always talk about, Rob, in these jamborees, you see a lot of mental mistakes, and you'll see that the first couple of weeks of the season.
We saw Crest draw Northern Guilford offsides with a hard count and see Crest jumping there with the same thing.
1st and 5, Northern Guilford, just across their own 40-yard line. Double wides left and right. Harris in the gun with one back. Got a man in motion. And Harris.
There's a high snap.
Ball's loose.
It's still
loose. And who's got it at the 25?
I think Crest has got it, Andy. They do.
Chargers recover it in Northern Guilford territory near the 26-yard line.
Rob, one thing I've noticed, especially in the years that Johnny Roscoe, and which that's been about 90% of the history of the school, they run the majority of plays out of that shotgun. And it's good when it works, but occasionally you get a couple of those bad snaps, especially early in the year.
Absolutely right. I mean, that's a big play there. And like we said, those kind of mistakes you want to get out of your system early. And big play there. Now let's see if the Crest offense can take advantage.
And I think this is areas, Rob, where Crest struggles sometimes taking advantage of mistakes from their opponents. That'll be big in 2014.
Harbison back in the backfield. Green in the gun. Double wides. In fact, trips to the right. And here is Trey Harbison. Cuts back inside and down near the 20.
We mentioned it, man. There's just so many great athletes on both sides of the ball. Think about when you play these type of programs, I should say, Rob. When you make a mistake, you're usually going to pay for it pretty quickly with these many athletes.
You know, Tim, we talk about great teams, and one of those squads is the defending state champion, Southern Durham. We talk about returning a lot of talent.
Yes.
How about this Southern Durham squad returning a lot of players as well?
Spotted at the 21, 2nd and 6 Chargers. Green in the gun. Going to throw it. And
it dropped again. And that's 3 drops. And that time, Rob, the thing I noticed about the receiver that time, and I believe that was that Williams? They came out of the backfield. Williams, Rob, was looking downfield before he could see that open area, and that's there again. You got to make plays like that.
The receivers have to realize, let's take care of the ball first and then see what can happen.
So Crest has had several opportunities to really take advantage of some good passes thrown by Green, have not been able to do it early in this game.
3rd and 6 from the 21. Double wides right, a receiver left side. Green in the gun with 1 back. Willie going to throw it.
And there's pass interference.
And a flag down at the 3.
He knew he was beat.
Yeah, and Andy, he had his jersey, and I believe that was the receiver that time. That was Brooks. His jersey was being grabbed at about the 8 for 4 or 5 yards, and that is about as obvious for the back judge as you're going to get on that pass interference. Rob, give us, we talk about a couple of teams. We know in 3AA these 2 teams are going to be heavyweight. Southern Durham, a lot of people think they've got a great chance to repeat as 3AA champions. And Andy, wait a minute. Before
offsetting penalties. They called holding on the Chargers, interference on Northern Guilford.
So they will replay this down. So it could have been a 1st and goal, but Crest had the holding penalty, and Rob will get to that after this 3rd down play after 2 penalties there. And now we've got another penalty.
Another flag is down.
I'm wondering, Andy, if the player did not come on the field for Northern Guilford. Do they have too many players possibly?
Sideline warning.
Yep. Sideline warning on Northern Guilford. And I know that's one of Andy's favorite penalties. It's thrown year in and year out. We'll talk about, speaking of new rules, we're going to talk about one here in just a few minutes that's being implemented by the state this year and get your opinion on it.
Couple things the state's put in this year.
3rd and 6 from the 21. Green in the gun.
Crest offsides.
Yep.
And right now, Andy, Crest is having, and you see, as we've talked about, it's preseason, but Crest kind of hurting themselves right now with just some mental mistakes.
Way too sloppy.
Just little things that are hurting the Chargers so far. They've had some opportunities to maybe even get some points on the board. And now they were looking at possibly 1st and goal. Now they're looking at a 3rd and 11 after 3 penalties in a row.
So a 3rd and 11 for the Chargers. Green in the gun with 1 back. Got a man in motion. Now Green takes the
and movement again.
Yep. Just ridiculous, sloppy play by the Chargers in this situation.
And, Rob, you talk about it is the preseason, but one of the things that we noticed that obviously the level of competition a little better, but one thing that you liked about the Mountaineers in that game, very crisp. Crisp right now, just little things. And this is a team, Rob, with a lot of seniors making some mental mistakes right now.
Right there, your motion came from your movement there by your wide receiver.
Right.
You just, once you're set, you got to be set. You just can't bounce around and take off. We're not playing Arena League or Canadian football. You've got to be set.
Andy, things you've got to really work on. And now you put yourself in a 3rd and 16.
Double wides left and right. Green in the shotgun. 1 back. Green with an audible. Long count. Play clock under 10. Green takes the snap. Here's the screen pass. Caught. 30. 25. Harbison down to the 22. Well short of a 1st down. And here comes the field goal unit.
Yeah, just too many. 4 penalties in a row on that drive, guys. And that's something that you just can't have. And so Crest with Alex Trejo will try to come in. We know Trejo had that unbelievable 41-yard field goal in the state title game last December that gave Crest the lead at the time late in the ball game. And And he's going to try to put some points on the board and give Crest an early lead here.
39-yard attempt from the 29-yard line for Alex Trejo. Snap and the kick. It's up, and it is good.
Yep.
Trejo puts the Chargers on the board first, 3-0, with 4:51 to play in the first quarter.
And let's take a break. We're coming back. Crest and Northern Guilford, Game 2. It's the Cleveland County Jamboree on KTCBroadcasting.com.
It's the 90th Annual Cleveland County Fair, September 25th through October 5th. Make plans now to be there. On the Midway, it's pig racing, Leon Jacobs, Act Monsters chainsaw demonstration, the Tumbleweed Crossing Wild West show. And on the grandstand, it's the Demolition Derby and more. And don't forget about the Fairground Speedway. Race it every Friday night. Gates open at 5, hot laps at 7, race it at 8. And on August 8th, it's the Kenny Sides Memorial Vintage Car Race. The 90th Annual Cleveland County Fair, September 25th through October 5th at the Cleveland County Fairgrounds.
Alex Trejo, 39-yard field goal. Crest 3, Northern Guilford nothing on the scoreboard with 4:51 to play in the first quarter. And Trejo tees it up to kick it off.
Rob, after this kickoff, I want to talk about some of these teams that really you believe are going to be contenders again in 3A, 3AA. We talked about these two teams, obviously the defending state champion Southern Durham. Concord, I think, a team that almost knocked off Havelock. What about Havelock, the state's longest winning streak? You got to talk about them and a few others. We'll talk about that after this kickoff by Alex Trejo.
Trejo with the kick. It's a very short kick, taken at the 15-yard line, 20, 25, 30, and driven out of bounds near the 40-yard line.
And, Andy, not only the short kick, the return man, Reynolds there, tremendous speed. He was heading up, and that's not the guy you want to kick it to on that side of the field with his speed, and it's given Northern Guilford great field position at their own 36. So good job by Northern Guilford there on that return.
Alex got way too much of that one, Rob.
Yeah, just too much hang time there.
So 1st and 10, Nighthawks. They are back in the eye with the receiver left and right. Harris, the quarterback. Harris hands off over the left side, not much, maybe a couple. And the Northern Guilford running games had problems moving against the Crest defense so far.
Guys, remember in the second half of that state semifinal game a year ago, Northern Guilford, remember offensively, only 45 total yards of offense. That was one of the reasons, Rob, of course, Crest came back from that 10-point deficit to come back and win it in overtime last year. And as Andy mentioned, they've done a pretty good job against the run here so far tonight.
Only a yard gain, 2nd and 9. Trips left, receiver to the right. Shotgun with one back. Harris, quarterback keeper. And he's knocked down at the 39.
Chris Willis made the tackle for the Chargers. Rob, talk a little bit about, give you a couple of teams. What about that Asheville squad? A lot of people think they might be one of the best teams in the mountains this year in 3AA.
I tell you what, Tim, I got 3 teams that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. That Asheville squad, one of them. I think South Point, a lot of people are still not paying a lot of attention this year because of what they lost. And another team that I think is going to be interesting to keep an eye on will be Central Cabarrus. Keep an eye on that squad as well.
3rd and 7 for Northern Guilford at their own 39. Shotgun trips left, receiver to the right. Harris going over the middle.
It's picked off. That's Roseboro.
Roseboro to the 50. Still on his feet.
He's still on his feet.
He's to the 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown.
Well, no, Jordan Oates. Jordan Oates, Andy.
Jordan Oates, not
I tell you
Roseboro.
What, guys.
It didn't matter, Andy, but the problem in that secondary, Rob, you told me you make a mistake and you got 2 speedsters and Oates.
They're dangerous in the secondary, guys, when you're throwing the football.
My apologies there. Give Jordan Oates credit because, Andy, he looked a lot like Dominique the way he was breaking tackles downfield. Crest leads at 9-0. Rob, you don't make a mistake with those kind of athletes in the secondary.
They can come back and cause a lot of problems.
So Trejo's going to try to make it, Andy, a 10-point game with the extra point.
And, guys, I think that's one thing we talked about last year. The defense did okay, but the able to score off of turnovers was where were those kind of things at? And Great job there by the Crest defense.
Rob, I've talked to a lot of people in the offseason that said Crest would wear down in games. Did you agree with that last year?
Absolutely.
A lot of guys, and you think that's going to be an area that they'll be better at this year?
I think the Chargers have more depth this year than they've had in a long time.
Andy, that was Oates going 60 yards on the interception return touchdown.
Trejo's extra point attempt coming. It's up, and it is good. 3:10 left in the first quarter. It's Crest 10, Northern Guilford nothing in the Cleveland County Football Jamboree.
And we'll keep it right here. And, Rob, your thoughts so far in the first 9 minutes of this game?
I think as I saw Tuesday night, and I think you guys tonight, very impressed with the Crest defense. They're going to be a good group. They're going to be fun to watch this year. Again, the concern, and I've seen it tonight, I saw it Tuesday night, the passing game and the receiving part of that game. Again, I think Willie Green's going to do a great job of quarterback, and those things can come around. It's just going to be about developed timing, understanding, make the reception before you acknowledge going down the field, and we've seen that a couple times tonight.
And cutting down penalties, I think, early in the year.
Absolutely right. The great thing about this scrimmage, guys, you're seeing two teams that have an opportunity. If things break their way, they can play deep into the playoffs. I think that's a pretty good known deal, but I think the Chargers are going to have to put together and finish some of these drives.
Alex Trejo will kick it off as the lights are now on here at Spangler Stadium.
Coming up next, it will be Burns and A.C. Reynolds. Jeff Jones and Brent Pasco will have the call.
There's Trejo's kick.
Much better kick.
And it's taken at the 1 yard line. Back to the 5, 10, 15, 20. Breaks free across the middle and pulled down from behind near the 38-yard line.
And Rob, I know Coach Barnes is not happy there. And let's be honest, their return coverage has not been good tonight in this ball game.
Give that young man. We're talking about a special athlete in Reynolds. I mean, he is an outstanding athlete. He can do anything you need him to do.
Type of guy that could go play and start next year for Virginia Tech.
Absolutely right. And we see right there, he's the kind of kid that can change field position for those teams.
And you get the lead, and that's a great return. Had a chance to back him up as they took it at the 1. But give, as Rob mentioned, Northern Guilford credit. Good field position again, down 10-0.
1st and 10 at the 38 for the Nighthawks. Double wides right, a receiver to the left. Harris in the gun. Harris hands off over the right side and some running room up to the 45, maybe the 46.
Best run of the night. Well, that was Freeman. Nice job, and it's going to be 2nd and short. Andy, we talk about a lot of the athletes. For Chris, you forget about it. The year that Jordan Oates had last year, including that big interception against Burns.
Well, Jordan had some spectacular plays all year last season for Crest, and it's great to have him back on the field. 2nd and 3 at the Northern Guilford 46. Trips left, receiver right. Harris in the gun. He's got one back. Harris hands off over the right side, and it's a 1st down across midfield for the Nighthawks.
Good blocking, Andy, that time. Really got a good push and lots of room on the outside. And we're seeing Northern Guilford for the first time tonight, Rob, having some success running on the outside.
Yeah, I think for the Chargers, you want to make sure to try to shore up those things because of what's coming next week when you take on South Point.
1st and 10, Northern Guilford at the Crest 49. Nighthawks back in the eye with the receiver left and right. Harris under center. Back to throw. He's looking deep down the sideline, and it's overthrown at the 10-yard line. And good coverage by the Chargers secondary.
Well, it's good coverage downfield. It'll be...
Okay, it was putting it out there from trying to let Mook Reynolds go get it.
Yeah. Reynolds with speed, but Andy made a good point. Good job staying with him. And Rob Reynolds is going to beat a lot of guys one-on-one coverage. Crest, though, because they're athletes, is going to be able to do a lot of one-on-one this year coverage because of those athletes. 2nd and 10 now. 1:53 to go in this first quarter.
Trips left, receiver to the right. And the gun is Harris. Harris, quarterback keeper, and he is down for a 3-yard loss at the 48 of Northern Guilford.
And it seems like every time the offense, the opponent of Crest, loses a couple yards, I see Omar Brooks right in the middle of that play. And he's, Andy, as we take a timeout, would he be your preseason Defensive Player of the Year in the SMAC again coming in this year?
No doubt about it. But the Chargers have several Defensive Players of the Year candidates on this defense.
Rob, of course, will be the crew to cover the Chargers all year long right here on ktcbroadcasting.com, and that starts next Friday night. We'll be on at 6:30 from Belmont. Rob, everybody's talked about the dominance that South Point's had. Everybody has talked about Crest has had a lot of good talent come through, but when they run into the Red Raiders, it's just a Red Raider team that they have not figured out. A lot of people think it's going to be the same this year. What are your early thoughts about that game 7 days away?
You know, I mean, you've got to think that. I mean, if you're a fan,
a lot of people say they're the underdog.
I mean, you know, you go into South Point, it's always a difficult place to play. To me, two of the toughest places to go play are at South Point and at Freedom. I don't know what goes on, but you just feel like you're battling the elements when you go to those places.
And they win a lot of games there.
They absolutely do. And so if you're this Crest squad team, you've got, I think, for that game, for your own confidence, you got to come out and try to hit South Point in the mouth. Try to send a message early to know that you're in that football game.
3rd and 13 for the Nighthawks at their own 48. Trips left, receiver right. Harris in the gun. He's got one back. Harris.
It's inside handoff.
Draw play, and his knee hit down at midfield.
He had some room, Andy, but as you mentioned, he slipped. Dominic Roseborough, and I got his name right that time, he did make the tackle at midfield. Rob, the thing I noticed, even with a great delayed draw play, Crest still read that out very quickly. Mm-hmm. It's a very good play.
And guys, here, you know, I think it's going to be ours too. We saw this young man have some big plays. Jordan Oates returning punts as well for this Crest team.
Oates back to receive it at the Charger 10-yard line. 1:05 to play in the first quarter. 10-0 Crest. Big rush by Crest. He gets it out of there.
Good punt.
And Jordan Oates.
That should be a penalty, Andy.
Guys. At the 20, he got
hit. Yeah, but he still made the catch. He got hit right as the ball was coming in, so that's going to be a penalty. And kept moved Crest up a little bit from that 20-yard line. Good job by Jordan.
Give him credit, guys. A lot of pressure and was able to still hang on to the football.
Andy, I think Rob made a good point talking about next Friday night. One of the things that I think Crest has struggled with in years past against the Red Raiders is really making those hits. And to me, that's going to be a key early in that ball game next Friday night.
Yeah, the Chargers are going to have to establish a toughness defensively early against the Red Raiders down in Belmont next Friday night. So 1st and 10 Crest at their own 35 after the penalty. Double wides right, a receiver to the left, shotgun with one back.
There's Harbison.
Harbison over the left side, breaks a couple of tackles, and he drives out near the 45-yard line.
Rob, I understand that Harbison has talked to Tennessee, he's talked to Georgia, talked to NC State, North Carolina. A young man that talk about his improvement from early last year.
You know, I think it's now the maturation for him going into his junior year, and that's going to be the difference now is how he grows up as a player. He was all talent before, and now he's going to have to start putting the other facets into the game.
2nd and a yard. Green back to throw, rolling to his right.
Got a man open.
And it is picked off at the 35. Willie a little bit late getting it out there.
He was open, Andy, but he underthrew it tremendously. Tucker Horde picked it off. And there's another example with great athletes, Rob. Maybe against certain teams you get away with that. Great play by Horde to make the interception.
Absolutely right. Young man right on his receiver, and a great job of bringing the ball in.
So the first turnover of the night, Northern Guilford gets it, and they're going to have it and maybe get one playoff here before this first quarter wraps up.
11.3 left in the first quarter. 1st and 10, Northern Guilford after the interception at their own 36. Trips to the right, a receiver left side. Harris in the gun with one back. Harris. Handed off in the back.
Nowhere.
A big loss.
And what pursuit there, and that went nowhere.
Guys, that look at was number 26 there, Aaron
Ramseur. Yeah, and Rob talked about Aaron Ramseur and the young man, a lot of excitement about him.
A lot of people remember Kenny Ramseur played here for the Chargers on that 94 state championship team. That is actually his brother. You can see Aaron out there in the Chargers uniform. They were traded here for Crest.
We'll take a break. 1 quarter down in game 2. Crest leads Northern Durham 10-0, and we're coming back with more of the Cleveland County Jamboree right here on ktcbroadcasting.com.
Carolina Energies is your heating and air service experts. They service all brands and feature complete installations. 24-hour service is available with on-call technicians. And this spring and summer, keep your family comfortable with a peace of mind service plan from Carolina Energies. It will keep you cool and save you money on costly repairs. For more information, call 704-482-9561. Carolina Energies, 515 North DeKalb Street in Shelby.
Back at the Cleveland County Jamboree, and Rob, I tell you, it's a good thing we get these preseason broadcasts after I say Crest was leading Northern Durham. Actually, I believe they're leading Northern Guilford 10-0. I know they've never played Northern Durham.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk in the mid-90s about
Yes.
whether the 6 Crest Northern Durham matchups.
Yeah, good thing to get some of the cobwebs off. Get to see Brent Pascoe, who he and Jeff Jones will have AC Reynolds and Burns and Shelby and Forest View coming up later on tonight as we get ready for the second quarter.
2nd and 16 at the 30 for the Nighthawks as we begin the second quarter. I formation. Harris under center. Harris straight back in the pocket. He wants to throw it. He swarmed under for a loss at the 22. Omar Brooks.
And Andy Omar, if we had an MVP defensively, Rob, he's been all over the field already. And you talking about you got to have that clock in your head against this Crest defense. It's not going to be very long.
You got to get the ball off. Always stay back there in the pocket.
Andy Crest is really dominant here so far. It's been a while since we didn't even see this in the playoff game. Of course, it's early. Northern Guilford will get better and better, but man, they've been pretty dominant early on.
3rd down and a bunch for the Nighthawks at their own 23.
Guys, another addition this Crest defense didn't see last year. Good to see out there. What about Justin Faulkner?
Yeah.
Maybe some European folk out there, they can probably see a Faulkner out there on the field.
They're always good, Rob.
Absolutely right.
He's a good one.
And a whistle as Harris takes the snap in the shotgun.
Delay game. Yeah, I was noticing, Andy, that Coach Roscoe was getting the play in, and it seemed like it took a long time for looked like the receiver brought it in, and now you're looking at a 3rd and 29. And Rob, I don't know if you have a ton of those in your playbook on a given Friday night.
For Chris, too, you want to get off the field, so make a play, don't give up any kind of big play.
Shotgun trips right, a receiver left side. Harris takes the snap. Going to swing it over the middle, and
Dropped it.
Is incomplete at the 15.
Yeah. Rob and even Reynolds would have caught that. There were several Crest defenders right there, and so Northern Guilford, I have to think Crest here could have pretty good field position.
And I like the way this defense attacks, Rob. They've got the weapons. Attack on defense.
And Rob, the thing they can do, you could attack last year, but the secondary at times we talked about would be very vulnerable. This year, you believe they'll be able to do that more.
We've probably seen some bigger defensive press, some bigger guys out there, but I don't think we've seen a defense as fast as this Crest team.
There's a punt for
Good
Northern
kick.
Guilford. And it drives Oates all the way back to the 36-yard line, and he steps out of bounds with it.
Great punt by Northern Guilford there, and Crest will start 1st and 10 at their own 36-yard line. Rob, we talk to a lot of coaches from time to time, and they mentioned the playoff run is so special, but one of the reasons is because you get those 3, 4, 5 extra practices. How important is that going into the next year?
I think it's huge, and it gives those young guys that are coming back that chance to get that extra practice time as well. Even the guys that maybe don't see the field as much that previous season, hey, they've got those practices in, and they're ready to step in and contribute the next year.
A lot of Chargers on this team on both sides of the ball that have been in a lot of big games in their careers. That's one of the things I've thought about a lot heading into 2014.
Double wides left and right. Shotgun on 1st down for the Chargers. Green back to throw. Gonna swing it. Left side caught. And down at the 38-yard line.
Patterson, I believe, called it. Boy, he took a shot after getting a couple of yards. Looked like he had a little bit of room, but he took a big hit. McBroom and French in there for Northern Guilford, who, Rob, they kick off their season next Friday night against Greensboro Page. That'll be a good one up in that part of the state.
Absolutely, good football.
2nd and 8 for the Chargers. They're on 38. Green in the gun. Double wides right and receiver left side. Got one back. Green swings it right side. Caught to the 40-yard line, and that is Malik Williams on the reception.
Williams caught it and got a little bit of yards. It looks like now Casual Morris is may get the rest of the carries of this ball game tonight. We saw Harbison Rob get, about 5 or 6 carries, I believe, in this game so far. That's what we expected.
Devontae Husky comes in the Crest lineup, and the Chargers are going to have to use a timeout with 9:47 to play in the contest.
Of course, we will be the home, as we mentioned, for Crest football each and every Friday night on KTCBroadcasting.com. You'll be able to watch and listen to all the action. And as we mentioned, Rob, you kick it off with a couple of Big South, former Big South opponents we talked about, and it starts at South Point. One of the interesting stats I saw, Rob, for South Point, regular season they won 42 consecutive games. Wow. They have been as good as anybody, and that's what scares you when you go down there and play them.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Right.
we know Bray's gone, but you can rest assured you're going to see a heavyweight next Friday night.
They always find somebody else to fill in those spots in the red bone offense. They're going to find a fullback. They're going to find that wing. And of course, they've got the quarterback that can do it this year. So it's going to be interesting. Like you said, you never count out the South Point squad. And like you said, 42 straight wins in the regular season. That is quite impressive.
And Rob, one of the exciting things in Gaston County, the first ever game next Friday night for Stuart Kramer, the brand new school taking on Thomas Jefferson. Exciting time for that program.
The Stuart Cosmo Kramers are really going to be ready. Like I said, it's basically a JV squad having to play varsity for the first time. Should be
interesting. No doubt about that.
3rd and 6 for the Chargers at their own 40. Cripps left receiver right, Green back to throw out of the shotgun. Steps up in the pocket and over the middle, incomplete, intended for Anthony London.
Looks like he fell down, Andy. The receiver did, so Crest will have to punt.
Once again, guys, I think if you're a Crest fan, the one thing you're going to take out of this game, you're going to see more consistency offensively. I think you're very pleased with what's happening on the defensive side of the ball. You want to see some more consistency offensively.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Trejo will punt it from the 25 with 9:41 to play. Bad snap. Trejo able to get it out of there. A low liner.
Pretty good kick.
Goes across the 30 to the 26. What a job by Alex Trejo.
Boy, he was under duress there and able to get a low kick and got a nice bounce. That snap was a little bit low, and that's the thing, as you mentioned, guys, I think it's going to be important as you prepare, practice, get ready for week 1. Is a little more consistency. I think that's one of the things Coach Barnes will be focusing on this week in practice.
And guys, that took some athleticism by Trejo to get that put out of there.
It was a great play and could have easily been a blocked punt, could have been tackled, and after a good kick, Northern Guilford will be starting from their own 26.
1st and 10 Nighthawks. 9:28 to play in this contest. Empty backfield. Double wides left, trips to the right. Harris steps up in the pocket and completes it to the 40-yard line.
We brought that in.
31, I think.
Yeah, it was McCoy. Jeremiah McCoy. And Andy, one thing I've noticed in Chargers making some substitutions defensively here. Good to see a lot of guys getting on the field in the second quarter.
1st and 10 Nighthawks, their own 40. Again, an empty backfield. Trips right a receiver. In fact, double receivers to the left. And Harris back to throw. And it is caught at the Crest 48.
Yeah, the defender, Andy, tried to make a play. Actually came up a little bit too far that time for the Chargers. And Northern Guilford makes it. That was Max Maynard who brought it in.
Looked like a couple of the Crest defenders sort of gave up on the play. And
yeah, Maynard just stayed in his position, made it right on the Crest sideline.
so 1st and 10 Nighthawks at the Charger 48. Trips left, receiver to the right. Gun with 1 back this time. Harris hands off, big hole up the middle, 40, 35 down to near the 30-yard line.
It'll be 1st and 10 for the Nighthawks. Nice run.
1st and 10.
Freeman.
Nighthawks on the move in Charger territory. 8.5 to play. Trips left, double wides to the right. Harris in the empty backfield. Takes the snap. He's going down the field, caught to the 10, to the 5, and in the end zone. Touchdown for Northern Guilford. And it didn't take the Nighthawks long on that one.
Came back and made the play. And Rob, they did it both ways, on the ground, through the air, and some missed tackles. And Northern Guilford, great job. And you saw a great job by a young man when we were talking about Harris, excuse me, that's going to be a really good quarterback this year.
Really good job there offensively. It's breaking Crest out across the field.
Northern Guilford going to try the extra point to cut it to a 10-7 lead.
Kicks up, and it is
good.
Good. It was a low snap, but the kicker able to get it off, and it's a 10-7 ball game. The Crest lead cut to 3 with 8:12 to play.
We will take a break, and we'll come back with more of Game 2. It's the Cleveland County Jamboree right here on KTCBroadcasting.com.
Hi, this is Woody Durham for Mark Dedman's Carolina Trophies in Shelby. Through the years, I've seen a lot of trophies and plaques, and none appear nicer than those which come from Mark Dedman's Carolina Trophies. Their guarantee is not just a guarantee, but a promise for courteous service, the absolute lowest price, quality products, on-time delivery, and most of all, your satisfaction. Awards for all occasions, plus rubber stamps and engraving. That's Mark Dedman's Carolina Trophies in Shelby.
Now,
Northern Guilford on the board. It's 10-7 Crest with 8:12 to play, and the Nighthawks will kick it off. There's the kick.
Not a very good one.
Taken by an up man at the 25 to the 30, 35, 40, 45, midfield, 48. Ball on the turf, but I think it was caused when he hit the ground, and it is a nice return for the Chargers there.
That's Feaster, Rob, and boys, good speed. The first problem there was the kick.
We talk about Dominic Roseburg being out. What about Jaleel Feaster last year? Got as well.
Yeah, he got injured, and that was a nice return. So Crest, good field position, 1st and 10 at the 47 of Northern Guilford. And let's see if they can. And looks like a quarterback change here, Rob.
Looks like Cameron Peeler checking in, guys. Young man's had a great summer as well.
And Andy Crest making some substitutions here. With one thing about Coach Barnes, he likes to play a lot of guys in the preseason, which you love to see.
Peeler will hand off.
There's Morris.
Morris across the 40 to the 36 of Northern Guilford. A first down for the Chargers. Casual Morris.
Thanks, guys. That was that Malik Benson checking in, number 42 for the Chargers.
So Morris went out. Benson has come in.
Morris in now.
Yeah, Morris is in now. That was Benson. Thank you, Rob, for the nice run there by Benson on the play.
Hard running by Benson over the left side of the line. Cameron Peeler, the quarterback, in the gun. Cameron switches his back from right to left, and Cameron
going to keep
the football. He's to the 30 and to the 25, dives to the 23.
Rob, been a lot of talk about Green and Peeler, and Peeler certainly, I think we'd agree, a little bit better on the running side, and you saw that great speed by the young man.
Yeah, he's able to get outside, use his legs a little bit, and as you said, Tim, a great job there running the football. It's good to see him out there. It's been a great quarterback competition for the Chargers, these two young men. And there's thing guys, Willie Green, just a junior for Crest, Cameron Peeler, just a sophomore.
Peeler in the gun, double wide right, receiver to the left, handoff up the middle, and some running room across the 20 down to the 19, maybe the 18.
Rob, I think the interesting thing, a lot of people, if you're watching this broadcast, you may be thinking, you've seen a lot of pass. But don't think we're not going to see a lot of power running game this Crest. And that's the one element that with the running backs, when you think about a Hopper and a Harvest, and you have a lot of depth and size. Dominique, you're going to see that this year.
That's the one thing guys, you can do well. So you want to work on some other things. You can line up in that power package and get you some yards. Let's see what other things you can work into this offense.
2nd and 5 at the 18 of Northern Guilford for the Chargers.
And Andy, this is a big drive. I think Coach Barnes would love to get another score here late in this game.
Taylor takes a snap, keeps the football. He's to the 13.
He's still on his feet.
10-yard line.
Nice run by, as Rob mentioned, sophomore Cameron Peeler. Rob, you talk about practice, getting ready for week one. I think you mentioned some of them, but what are some of the key elements that you're going to be working on? Is really the key word consistency as you get ready for next Friday night?
Yeah, and I think once again the Chargers found this game improving. They can run the football. That passing game has got to get going a little bit. The Chargers have got to find a way for those receivers to bring in those passes. And as you said, consistency. Able to finish these drives out. Good job here by Cameron running this offense.
First and goal at the 10-yard line. Peeler in the gun with one back. Peeler, he's going to throw it left side of the end zone.
Pass interference, a touchdown.
Caught despite the interference.
Rob, great, and you liked it. Great pass, great catch under duress. That was a beautifully thrown pass.
Both sides, guys. A great job there by Peeler of putting the ball up for the receiver. What great concentration to bring it in, even with the interference.
Andy, I don't think the defender ever turned around there on that play. And so that's going to be pass interference. It'll be a 10-yard touchdown pass, and beautifully thrown pass there by Peeler. 16-7 Crest as Trejo will come in for the extra point attempt. And
guys, does this give Coach Barnes something to think about? Seeing Peeler come in and really lead this team down the field.
Extra point attempt coming. Alex Trejo puts it up, and it is good.
So we will keep it right here at the 6:15 mark in Game 2 of the Cleveland County Jamboree. Crest now leading Northern Guilford 17-7, and Rob was getting ready to make a point. I think you would, to me, you feel comfortable, and that's a good feeling. You could start either one of these guys on a given Friday night because you never know. The elements, injuries, a lot of circumstances can come up.
You know, you continue to have the option, guys, if for whatever reason, you know, Willie Green wins the starting job, and he's your varsity quarterback and left credit. You still have that option. Cameron Peeler is your starting quarterback for the JV team. Do you have them both up on the roster, both on the field Friday nights available? It's going to be interesting to see what decisions are made as far as starting quarterback for this Crest football team.
Well, one thing, Rob, Peeler knows the Crest offense. He ran it a good bit last year coming in several ball games.
Yes.
So, and the thing you like there, Rob, Northern Guilford came down, scored on you, really just drove it right down in an easy score. Nice to see you come back and get that score. That's something Coach Martin and the staff's got to like.
And you know, you like that pass, guys, for the touchdown. What about Peeler's toughness running the football? Give that kid a lot of credit. He was taking some shots, taking care of the football, and picking up yards.
So Trejo will kick it off. Crest back to a 10-point lead, 17-7 at the 6:15 mark of this second quarter in Game 2 of the Cleveland County Jamboree. Burns and A.C. Reynolds coming up next, and Jeff Jones and Brent Pasco will have the rest of the games tonight, including that nightcap with Shelby and Forest View.
Kings Mountain won the opener tonight over Polk County, 28-7.
Good showing by the Mountaineers. They take on Hunter Huss next week. Crest, of course, we will have it at South Point next Friday night.
Trejo's kick. Taken at the 5-yard line to the 10-15, and still on his feet at the 20, breaks another tackle, and finally Crest able to get him down at the 32.
Crest Special Teams, Rob, has struggled tonight. They missed a lot of tackles, and they should have. And give the return man credit.
But once again, Reynolds, guys, he makes guys miss.
He was spinning, and that shows you why he is one of the top athletes in the state. What a run. It's 1st and 10 at the 31-yard line. Guys, one of the new rules, and we'll talk about this after this play, the mercy rule that was implemented by the state back in the spring. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that after this play and get your thoughts on that as we head into this 2014 season.
Double wides left, receiver to the right, one back in the backfield, Harris in the gun. Harris, quarterback keeper, big hole, he's to the 40-yard line.
Harris has had a good second quarter, and you're really running this offense well. Rob, the mercy rule that we mentioned, I believe if you're up 42 points at halftime, one of two things has to happen this year. You either have to have a running clock in the second half, or you can pull your team off the field. I know that sounds weird, but that is a true statement I'm making. What are your thoughts on that?
It amazes me, guys. And let's get this play, and I'll give you thoughts.
2nd and 1 at the 40 for the Nighthawks. Shotgun for Harris.
I thought Northern Guilford moved, Andy.
Flag down at the line of scrimmage.
As you've got young men that practice all year. In a game like that, when you get to the 42-0 lead, going into the second half, that's the opportunity for those kids that maybe don't get a lot of playing time to get on the field. And I think there's a lack of foresight there. If you want to have to run the clock, so be it. But to say you can pull a team off the field at halftime, I think that, to me, that is a horrible rule. And it just goes along with another one the state's implemented as well, and we'll get into here in just a minute.
2nd and 6 at the 35 now for the Nighthawks after the penalty. Back to throw, Harris swings it left side, caught 35-40, and the first down to the 44-yard line for the Nighthawks.
State's also had this year now, as far as your records team going to the playoffs.
Yes.
If they're not correct on the website, Max Preps, if it's not correct going to the playoffs, the state starts to see not only is there a penalty, that penalty is you're disqualified from the playoffs if the record is not correct in Max Preps. And that's fine if you want to use that site, you want to have a penalty, but to disqualify a team entirely from the playoffs, I think it's a way harsh penalty, maybe going to the pocket.
Especially when you can certainly, even in that scenario, have errors that can occur on their mistakes. That's going to be interesting as well.
First down for the Nighthawks,
on the ground,
in the backfield, back to the 39-yard line.
Andy, do you concur on the mercy rule this year, or is there a possibility we may have a broadcast that ends at halftime this year? I would certainly hope not.
That is not a good rule for any kind of broadcast situation.
and guys, you hope that whatever situation, whether you're the coach on the end of the 42-0 or you're up where the coaches can get together and say, let's continue to play, let's let these young men play. And if you're a team that's up 35-0, Tim, do you lay on the ball until halftime?
Yeah, it's something to think about, Ron, no doubt about it.
2nd down, 15 from the 39. Here's a pass.
It's caught.
Caught down to the Charger 42.
Andy, since they've really spread this offense in the last couple of possessions, Northern Guilford has had a lot of success and another good pass play. Hey, Rob,
a lot of changes now, guys, on the defensive side of the ball.
One thing we haven't seen change is, and no surprises, is Roscoe's really working Freeman because he knows he'll be a key for this offense this year.
Trips to the right, receiver to the left side. Here's a handoff.
Oh, he's going to keep it.
No, quarterback keeper breaks a couple of tackles. Armed under for a loss at the 45.
Good pursuit that time by the Charger defense, and it'll be 2nd down and 13. We'll be on at 6:30 next Friday night from Belmont with our pregame show, and the entire crew will be there along with Amy Foster will be with us for stats again this year, and Rob, you'll be right down there on that sideline in a hostile environment. That is Belmont.
Do want to let the Crest fans know, get ready for the glow out. Make sure you get over to Bradley's and get those Charger Nation T-shirts and be ready for that game Friday night.
What an atmosphere. That'll be in week 1.
All the proceeds from those shirts, guys, actually go to back to the program. Will help buy meals for the kids, take care of some equipment, things like that. So all you Crest supporters.
2nd and 12. Quarterback keeper, big hole over the right
side. Oh, he took a shot.
And the new quarterback is Timmons. Miles Timmons, the 6'1" junior, is in there at quarterback now, Tim.
Yeah, nice run. Took a hit, and it's good to see Timmons coming in for Northern Guilford. 3 minutes to go. Rob, your thoughts about these two teams heading forward? A lot of folks, of course, have got them in the top 5 preseason. I think two teams are going to do a lot of damage again.
I think both teams have the potential to have really good seasons and then going into the playoffs.
3rd and 5 for the Nighthawks. Timmons in that empty backfield. Trips right, double wides left. Timmons takes the snap, keeps the football, trying to break outside, and he is not going to get to the first down marker. Pulled down at the 35.
Good pursuit down on the sideline. Rob, I've been
guys, and that right there is one of my guys I told you about that I was excited about this year. Sophomore Tavion Brentley making the play, and you've seen an example there of his speed.
Yeah, great. And the thing that I keep thinking about in this ball game tonight, Rob, is just the athletes we've seen on both sides of the ball in this ball game. Just tremendous athletes.
4th down and 3 for the Nighthawks at the Charger 36 with 2:29 left to play. Timmons sends Trips to the right, a receiver left. He's in the gun with one back. Timmons hands off up the middle. It's a first down to the 29-yard line.
Rob, if you don't think every game is important, I'm talking about non-conference games. I just think of this Crest Charger team last year. How big was that win? You lost to South Point. How big was that win over Ashbrook to get you win the conference going beaten? But, Rob, you needed with 11 games, obviously, you get to drop one. But every game's important when you're thinking about playoff seeding long term.
Absolutely right. I mean, if you want to have home games, you've got to win out is what it comes down to.
First and 10 at the 30 for the Nighthawks. Timmons takes the snap. He's going right side toward the end zone, and it is knocked away at the goal line.
Looks like it's intended for Mook Reynolds again, and good job by the Crest defense.
Was that
it was number 5, it looks like, for the Chargers.
That's Ramseur.
Tyreek Ramseur.
Yeah, Ramseur, good to play in the secondary. And it looks like Brooks, of course, has been out. Dominique's out of there. Jordan Oates and Ramseur, a great job in that secondary.
Yeah, in fact, there were 2 Chargers down there on the coverage. Second and 10 at the Charger 30 for the Nighthawks. 1:59 to play.
Rob, the interesting thing with Crest and South Point next week might be the last time we see those two teams for several years.
Could be.
That series may be wrapping up, and, of course, with South Point being in small 3A, could be a while.
Trips left receiver to the right. Timmons with one back.
And we got a penalty.
Flag down at the line of scrimmage, and I don't know, but I think the receiver might have lined up off sides over here on the right side.
Well, let's see if that is the case. Well, they got legal stuff. They've got 12 players on the field, right?
No, it was.
Was he lined up wrong?
It was encroachment.
Yeah. So that's going to be a penalty. And, Rob, one of the things I see, and we've mentioned it for both teams, just got to work on little things. That's the thing that we've noticed. You think about a program from year to year, you automatically sometimes assume as we've got a timeout that these programs are going to come out playing at sharp, fresh, 85%. That's not the case with any program. It takes a little bit of work and practice.
Exactly right. I mean, you've got to continue to build on that season. And like we said, your scrimmage is important just to get into that first game. And then you continue to try to progress throughout the year.
Andy, your thoughts about the Chargers and Red Raiders as we kick it off next Friday night right here on KTC Broadcasting?
I think it's going to be a great football game, Tim, and a lot of pressure on that Crest defense to stop the Red Bone. That's going to be the key. And if you're Coach Barnes, you got to hope that you get a little more productivity out of your offense against the Red Raiders.
Of course, Rob, they did lose a couple of big-time players on that South Point team that went to colleges defensively. But Tanner Muse is back, and he's a big-time player. He's going to be a key next Friday night.
Signee, I believe, with Clemson. And I tell you what, you talk about a young man in the defensive side of the ball can really play. And, if they need him offensively, he's going to do what they need him to do. Tanner Muse is an outstanding football player.
Rob, is it going to be more physical or mental next Friday night for Crest, or a little bit of both?
I think a little bit of both. I think the physical part. When you play South Point, the way they block, the way they'll crab you and they'll go at you. And they're on the ground, and you got to get used to.
And they're going to do it every play.
Absolutely right. They're going to go 100% the entire game. You've got to meet that with the same kind of intensity.
High formation on 2nd and 10. Handoff over the right side, picks up about 4.
Andy, we've seen some hard hitting in this ball game tonight, and there was another one. Nice gain as we're down to a minute 48. We'll see at least the preseason coaching debut of Ron Cincinnati, the new head coach at Burns. And, I think about that next game, Rob. This is not a Burns program that's coming off losing seasons. You're talking about 4 consecutive 10-plus winning seasons. A lot of pressure coming into this year.
Absolutely.
3rd and 8 for the Nighthawks. High formation. Here's a pass over the middle, incomplete. At the 25.
Threw a little bit high that time to the intended receiver.
And it's 4th down for the Nighthawks.
Special teams will be big next week as well, Rob. Could Alex Trejo be a difference maker in that ball game next week?
I think with the kind of kicker Alex is, I think he's a difference maker in every game if he's on.
No doubt about it, as it will be 4th and 12 at the 31.
Empty backfield. Trips right, a double wide set to the left.
Andy, the coaching staff is right beside us here in the booth at Gardner-Webb University, and they were not happy. I heard them holler and signal timeout. Rob, talk about these facilities here. We've been fortunate enough, great facility to have it. And you talked about, you love to see this event here every August.
And guys, I know y'all like me. You remember the old days when the home field, home side was across the way, and that little bitty old press box, and just wasn't you didn't feel a big environment here for Gardner-Webb. But man, what a wonderful job upgrading the facilities here now with the new press box, the new home side, and putting down this new turf as well. It's just a beautiful place to come see a football game. And I tell you what, guys, one thing that I was excited about and noticed is I was looking some of the local players now that are here at Gardner-Webb, players from Burns and Crest and Shelby, and knowing that Gardner-Webb's looking at some of our local players even into this year. I think if we see local talent coming here to Gardner-Webb and play, I think it's going to improve the home atmosphere. I think it's going to be a really nice environment here at Gardner-Webb. But as I said, just a wonderful facility, and you hope that this could be something that could happen again, hosting here as well.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Rob. I agree with those thoughts. Andy, your thoughts about Burns and AC Reynolds coming up next, two teams that had solid 2013 seasons.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting matchup, and going to be interesting to see how the Burns team under new head coach plays the ball game. Tim, we heard they are going to go with a no-huddle offense. 4th down, back to throw, Northern Guilford. Timmons keeps the football, still on his feet, and he's got a first down inside the 15, or actually at the 16.
Yeah, poor tackling by the Chargers, and give Timmons credit. He broke a tackle around the 20 and able to break through to get the first down and keep this drive going with 1:15, and that's a play, Rob, you don't want to give on the ground, a 13-yard gain on 4th down.
Absolutely.
1st and 10 at the 16 for the Nighthawks. Trips right, a receiver left, empty backfield. Timmons going to throw it.
Oh, should have been picked
away.
Off. Almost picked off. Good job by the Crest secondary.
It's 17-7 Crest with 1:04 to play in this contest.
Of course, the nightcap tonight will be the defending 2A state champions, the Shelby Golden Lions versus Forest View Jaguar team that went to the state 3A semifinals a year ago before losing to Concord, and that should be a great way to wrap up this Cleveland County Jamboree tonight. Still to come.
2nd and 10 for the Nighthawks at the 16. Again, an empty backfield. Timmons takes the snap. He's going to throw it right side of the end zone, and it is incomplete, back of the end zone. Again, Crest with double coverage over there.
Yeah, good coverage in the back of the right side of the end zone. And it's 3rd down. And, Rob, maybe this is good to see. You're seeing a lot of pass plays. Always good to see that attack and get that experience by the secondary.
3rd and 10 for the Nighthawks. 57.8 to play. Football at the 16. Trips right, double wides left. Again, an empty backfield. Timmons, the quarterback, the only man back there for Northern Guilford. And he's going to keep it. Breaks outside and run out of bounds.
Much better job there, guys, by the Crest defense on the keeper.
Yeah, good job that time, as you mentioned, Rob, of pursuing and getting him out of bounds. And it's 4th down and 8 with 50 seconds to go. Rob, you mentioned it's really hard to believe these teams have seen each other, I believe, 3 or 4 times in the preseason. 3 matchups, 2 state championship matchups, 1 state semifinal matchup. And there's a lot of teams, Rob, that Crest has not seen that are hour and a half away that are you never know.
That's right.
It's just amazing how that sometimes these relationships between teams and games.
It's really developed into a neat rivalry between Crest and Northern Guilford, even though they're so far apart.
4th down and 7 for the Nighthawks. Trips right, a receiver to the left. 1 back in the backfield. Timmons going to float it up, corner of the end zone, left side, and it's out of bounds.
It was called by a Charger, but out of bounds.
And Crest takes over on downs with 44.8 to play.
And I think you got to be happy if you're the Charger coaching staff, Charger fans. Rob, certainly a lot of things to work on, but not a bad performance here tonight.
I think you're very excited defensively what you've seen by your starters. Again, I think wanting to finish some of those offensive plays, and that's going to be the key for this Crest team. But again, taking some positives out of the night as well.
No doubt about it. It'll be 1st and 10 as Crest will probably just need to run one more play, maybe two, to wrap this one up.
Football at the 14-yard line. Peeler, the quarterback, in the gun. Peeler hands it off over the right side, and the ball carrier pushed back.
And that may...
Look, Northern Guilford guys calls a timeout.
Yeah, Northern Guilford, Andy's wanting to get the ball back, so they're going to call a timeout, which is a little bit of a surprise to me with 35 seconds left.
Well, I mean, he drove this far. He may as well get as many plays in
Well,
as he can.
you do have a good 3-hour drive heading back.
That's it. Got to get some football in before you leave.
Rob, what do you think about Northern Guilford? This is a team that obviously Johnny Roscoe, everybody, I've talked to a lot of people, they think because he's back, that takes them to another level. Do you necessarily agree with that?
I think Johnny Roscoe is an excellent coach. Again, he's not afraid to not make friends with what we've seen. Remember that state championship game with TJ Logan and the fake punt and all the controversy that came out of that one. But
yes,
I tell you what, he's a good coach, and I think if you're Northern Guilford, you're excited when he came home. I guess is the best way to say it, than him being back as the head coach.
Rob, they've not lost a conference game in 4 or 5 years. Can somebody beat them in that conference this year? That's what I'm wondering.
It's going to be really tough.
2nd and 10 at the 14 for the Chargers. Peeler in the gun with one back. Peeler hands off right up the middle, maybe a yard.
I think the one thing, Tim, that if you're watching the playoffs and when the playoffs get started, where does Northern Guilford go? Do they go to the east or do they go to the west? I think it would be neat to see them on the eastern side, to see them and Southern Durham tangle before a possible state championship
I've
game.
had a lot of disagreements. A lot of people have told me they'll never be back in the west. I don't necessarily agree with that because, Rob, if there's not enough teams, somebody's going to be pulled back to the west.
Somebody's coming back this way.
They're going to fill those brackets. And, Andy, I think that's going to wrap it up.
Yeah, Crest does not have to run another play. And they win the second contest of the Cleveland County Football Jamboree over Northern Guilford by a score of 17-7.
Well, guys, we will be with you next Friday night, 6:30, Crest and South Point. We'll look forward to it. And we're going to take a break. And when we come back, it'll be Brent Pasco and Jeff Jones taking you the rest of the way. Burns and A.C. Reynolds, followed by Shelby and Forest View. It's the Cleveland County Jamboree. We're coming back right here on KTCBroadcasting.com.
Is the time to buy your new Chevrolet from Carter Chevrolet in Shelby. Serving this area since 1963. That's why they are your hometown dealer. Here yesterday, here today, and here tomorrow for your new and pre-owned vehicle needs with a complete service and parts department. Before you buy, consider where you buy. And you'll definitely feel smarter if you buy from Carter, your discount Chevy store. Carter Chevrolet, 200 West Dixon Boulevard, Highway 74.